welcome to my very first podcast. This is part of the Real Shit Wins movement. Nothing is planned, everything is just off the cuff, so me and Debbie have no idea what's gonna come out. So we'll see how it goes. I'll give you a little bit of background about how me and Debs know each other. I met you probably about 6 years ago. Yeah. And I was recommended to see Debs by a friend. And you're, how would you describe what you are? What title do you use? Because there's all different things.
Yeah, there is a lot of different things. I am a clairvoyant, which means sea spirit.
Yeah.
I am a medium, which is more where they work with your mind rather than sight. But there's so many different terms. Psychic, Mystic Meg. There's so many different ways.
So Mystic Meg is literally what I expected you to be. I was so against all of this stuff. Horoscopes, psychics, fortune tellers, palm readers, all of that. As soon as I'd see it or hear it from anyone else, my instant thought was, what a load of bollocks. I'd be like, they can say anything that's really vast, and then you can cling on to it and be like, oh yeah, that's me, and then they're just going to manipulate people. And some of my friends have said for a while, go and see Debbie, so I come along to see you, and yeah, you basically blew my mind. But what I liked about you is I showed up, this is when you had people at your house.
Yeah. I
showed up at your house and I was expecting someone in like a tie-dye cloak and like a crystal
scarf around my head.
Yeah, all of that. I thought someone was going to be a bit woo, like, and you were just normal, answered the door, come in, how you are. And you said to me as well, don't say anything. No, I'm going to tell you a load of stuff and don't say a word.
Just say yes and no.
Could you tell that I thought this is a load of shit when I walked in the door? Can you pick that up?
Do you know what? I think everybody, when they first come in, you're very apprehensive. You've never met me, and like you just said, when you see me, I am what you see is what you get. I'm very common in the way that I am, Londoner, and I don't beat about the bush. Yeah. So I would probably be the one to go, oh, was you expecting the crystal ball and the scarf around the head? But everyone has a preconceived idea of what we are, and actually I think I'm a little bit different from the average one. But if you want me to tell you, am I going to get a new car? Go down the beach and see the birds with the thing around their heads and the crystal ball, because I don't work that way.
Yeah.
But in answering your question, no, because I think I shut off to what people might think, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to tune in and do what I need to do, because I'd be so conscious of, oh my God, is she thinking this? And I would have said to you at the beginning, like I do with everyone, I don't feel the need to prove. Yeah. You're coming to me. I'm not knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And by not wanting to prove, I always say the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
So you don't need to say anything to me. You don't go to a hairdresser, pay the girl, and do your own hair.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same policy. You shouldn't be going to medium, clairvoyant, whatever they are, paying them, and you're giving them information to twist it to be able to give it back to you.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I love that you basically just said, just don't say a word. Don't even like say yes or no unless I tell you, like I'm saying a yes or no. And you also said to me at the end, if you don't think it was worth it, don't pay me. And saying that right at the start, I thought, all right, like let's see what this witch has got. Like, I'm still part of me.
I still get calls like you.
Part of me was still thinking you're going to manipulate things in some way, or you would have spent hours on, like now I think about this, I think this is ridiculous, or you would have spent hours on social media or the internet and trying to gather this.
But when you ring me to book in, all I ask for is your first name.
Yeah. And
your phone number. Because if I need to cancel a human, I get unwell, or one of the kids are unwell or whatever. So it's very hard. I had a woman say to me one day, oh, my boyfriend thinks this is crap and that you've been looking at me on Facebook. First off, if you really think I've got that amount of time to spend looking for people, wrong, I haven't. Because I'm married, I've got kids, I've got grandkids, I've got a bloody noisy dog, and I have a life.
Yeah.
I haven't got time to be sitting there checking out who you are on Facebook. But how can you do that if you've only got the name Fiona and a phone number?
Yeah, and you could give any name as well.
Exactly, and I've had that a few times.
Have you?
Yeah, I'll give you the little story later of someone doing that to me. I've been doing it a lot of years, like a lot of years. I was born with it. And working for people and the public is that it's probably, I don't know, maybe 25 years I've been doing it. And I do have that bit at the beginning when you sit in front of me. Don't tell me things. If you do, don't be offended, because I will tell you to shut up.
Yeah.
But I have that.
I've had that a few times.
Yeah. You of all people. But it is that thing of where it's like, I don't need to know your name really. The reason I need to know your name is when I open the door to you, I can say without being rude, hello Fiona.
Yeah.
You could be anyone walking in my door.
Yeah.
You could be anyone answering the phone to me, or vice versa. So it is that thing of the name is more to do with, Fiona, I'm really sorry, I've got to ring you because I've got to cancel, rather than, hello.
Do your research.
Yeah, like literally. But this particular girl said to me, he don't believe you, he thinks you're... Yeah, we'll tell him to go on there, put the name in Fiona, and see how many Fionas come up.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, it's impossible.
I don't see you before you come to my door, so how the hell am I going to know who you are?
Yeah.
And I don't have that time.
I think it's just everyone's natural doubt, isn't it? But from the first time that I saw you, you absolutely blew my mind straight away. Just with information that I knew, even if you had done a load of research, you couldn't have found out. Like things about me that I hadn't told anyone, or just even stupid little things like pranks that I played and you'd relay it to me. You told me stuff about my parents, my grandparents. I actually had to ring my parents after seeing you and like say, oh, I've just been told this. And their minds were blown, because they said there's no way that I would have known that information either.
And that's the bit that I love.
Yeah, they're the things that happened when I was either a kid or when I was a baby, so why would I know?
Exactly.
But you just said earlier that, so you've had this since you were born, so I want to go back to like the very start, like what? So my dog is here, and that's it, he's probably going to have an input.
Bless him.
Ian's not doing a very good job of keeping him quiet, clearly. Yeah, we want to go back to the start. So how did it all come about for you? Because some people say they're born with it, some people it comes later on. Like, how did you deal with realising that you've got this talent?
I was definitely born with it.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, probably up until maybe 10ish, I didn't realise no one else could see what I could see or hear what I could hear. It was just normal to me.
Yeah.
So because I'm clairvoyant, it means I can see the person. My gift, I am so blessed, because I can see them how you're sitting there. I'd be able to see them the same way. So when you're a child, you don't have a preconception of things.
Yeah.
You just take it as it is. And that's every child in the world, gift or not. But then when I got to teenage years, something dawned on me that, yeah, they're not seeing what I'm seeing. They're not hearing what I'm hearing.
So
and
you just not mentioned anything at all, because you just presumed like
everyone,
what I'm looking at. Everyone's seeing this,
it.
so no one's mentioning it, because it's like seeing the grass or seeing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you get to teenage years, it's like something sits on top of you where you're just like a realisation, but not.
Yeah.
Because it's been there all the time. And, you know, we've just mentioned Tizer, and it was just like, I'd sit there stroking dogs because they were real to me, but actually they was on the other side. And I know how crackpot that sounds. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm the first one to go weirdo, like the first one. But when you don't have anything to compare that with, I'm 50 now, and go back sort of 50 years, a lot of this weren't really spoke about.
Yeah.
My granddad, love his art. My mum and dad split up when I was very young, and my mum moved back in with her parents, and me and my brother moved back with her. And my nan and granddad just took us in and didn't bat an eyelid. But then that meant I was growing up with that older generation.
Okay.
And things really like this weren't spoke about.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. It was just, and you know, up until the day my granddad died, and he died a few years ago, he used to say to me, oh, how's your backroom stuff going?
Backroom stuff.
Because years ago, you used to have a parlour where the women used to sit, and that's where they all gossiped and done things like this, and the men didn't really get involved in things like this.
Do you find that now as well, that it's men that find it harder to come to you or to listen to this sort of stuff than women, or is it kind of even keel now?
Now I would say it's even keel. I would probably say men are have this macho thing. Macho, whatever it is. that it's like that you're not allowed to show emotion. You're not allowed to, you know, men and women have people die.
Yeah.
Men and women have things going on in their life that really break them down, but then they have this sort of, oh, you can't show that type of thing, and it's got to be said that it's crap, and it's got. I say the exact same to them as I say to a female. Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
If I tell you things and you think, yeah, no, that's bullshit, I ain't got an issue. Don't pay me. I'm not freaked out by anything, but I don't advertise anywhere.
Yeah.
You'll never find me on Facebook. You'll never find me on Instagram or a phone book. I don't think people have phone books anymore, but Yellow Pages, you used to be able to go through and look for. Yeah, you'll never find my name because it's word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I think from a kid, I was taught to live a normal life, but I was always in a double life because I had this other side, but it wasn't spoke about. It was just that thing of just get on with it.
So how did you get to the point of talking about it? When did that happen? Who did you talk to?
One of my first memories was my mum she'd moved away when me and my brother was young. She'd had a drink problem, and she had sort of like gone off to reset herself and get her life going. And her granddad kept us, you know, we was happy with that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was 12, and I remember being woken up in the middle of the night, and I was really lucky. My nan and granddad had a massive house, and I had a double bed. Like, we never had like single beds. We all had, because the rooms were too big.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up, and you know when you're sort of like in a bit of a daze because you've just woken up, especially as a kid, you're a little bit like all over the place.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh my God, Mum's home. And she was sitting on the edge of my bed. And I remember her sort of like leaning in, and she put her hand on my, and I could feel it. How you can feel my hand,
Yeah.
I could feel it. And she went to me, I need you to be really brave. And the main thing that really sticks in my mind was that belly churn, that butterfly but not butterfly. You knew something was wrong, but
yeah.
you don't know what's up. And she said, I need you to be a really brave girl. She said, but it's time for me to go and you won't see me anymore. And I remember sitting there thinking, what? Like, you're here? Like, what? It just didn't comprehend in my head.
Yeah.
And then she leant over, and I remember, do you know what? I can still feel it now. I can feel her kissing the side of my head, and then it'd be gone. And then I think that when I got up, that was the time that I thought, yeah, I'm not normal. I'm really not part of the real normal world.
Yeah.
But I remember going down to my nan in the morning and having that thing of saying to my nan, my mum was here last night and she told me I had to be brave. And my nan, it was like a box of frogs had been opened. She was just like, don't you say things like that. You know, it's not normal to think them things. And you know that saying of think of something bad and the bad will happen, and that's
yeah.
And I just remember shutting up, but coming home from school that afternoon, and my granddad's sister was at the bus stop and got off the bus, and the walk back was that thing of where I need you, and it was bizarre. I need you to be a brave girl. I need you to, you
like
know,
the same words.
Literally. But your mum died last night, and I was just like, no. No, she was in my room.
Yeah.
But it's that scare factor of, did I do that? Did I make that happen? Did that really?
Oh, yes, you got in your head and thought that
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
But the weirdest thing was, it was never spoken about, that dream. It was as if I'd never ever said anything, ever. It was strange because I knew what I'd said, but I'd had then the guilt side of something, thinking, did I make that happen? Kids, your brains do that.
Yeah.
But I'd probably say there was a lot of things that happened, as in things were moving or I could see people and that type of thing. But it was when I met my husband. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing any of this now.
Okay.
It was him that sort of like made me embrace it, maybe, is the word.
So he didn't find it like strange, or he didn't think like, oh, there's this
No,
woman a bit,
yeah,
is she alright? Like what?
I don't know what's
She
going on.
had-
You
she
might
had a
find
heavy
that something
night.
different. Like literally. But I don't say I was a troubled kid, but for the one, I was a bastard. Like, I'm not even joking. I never brought the police to my door. I never brought babies to my nan's door. I never. Yeah, that's probably about it. I didn't bring drugs to her door. That was something else I wasn't into. But I would push the limits with everything. And I think losing a parent that early in your life, but dealing with this, it can mess with your brain.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, that I give, all my thanks to him, because he maybe gave me strength that I didn't, and he was the first person that I felt comfortable to explain what I was seeing and different experiences. But
you're not just dealing with it all by yourself. You've got
Yeah.
someone who's like a support system for you.
And I do that for people now.
Yeah.
Like people that I know that we call it development, people that are, especially kids. So it's quite a few kids that I work with, and I'm not a weirdo, but because their parents are always there. But it's scary when you're seeing these things. And I used to see some real dramatic things. And when I was very young, I used to get a lot of premonitions, and I hate premonitions. To this day, if I feel something coming, I'm gone. Like, I will run for the hills. I can't deal with it.
Can you stop messages coming through? Like, if you don't want to deal with it, can you block things?
Messages and premonitions are completely different.
Okay.
Your premonitions is that it's given, and they don't care if you're sitting in the bath. They don't care if you're in the middle of a party. If you're going to get a premonition, you're going to get it.
Okay.
Shutting off to the spirit world, you have to go through a development class. So you can't be taught what we do, but you're help developed. And I had a mentor that was just, literally, I would lay on the floor for him now, like literally. And he, do you know what, in a way, he sort of prepared me for what was to come, because he used to push my limits. Like, and because I was a bit of a nightmare, I used to be like, fuck up. I'm not going down that road. But actually, he put me in such a good place, because now when I do have crap come up my door in the spirit world, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
I can deal with it. But I don't know, there's so many different emotions that come with it. There's so many different aspects of accepting, maybe is the main word.
Yeah.
Because until I accepted who I was and what I was given, how was I expect anybody else to accept it?
Yeah,
and
true.
You know me, I don't give a toss. Like, if people don't like it, and I have done this for you. I have put myself out there, because I'm not one to.
Yeah,
I'll
just
talk about
explain
anything.
this quickly, because you said this before I started filming, about how you're not one to come on to anything like this. You're quite private with your work.
Very. I've been asked a few times to do auditoriums and that type of thing, or like in halls, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But when you are dealing with people that, the emotional side of people, where it's like the therapy side of things, that's different.
Yeah.
Because that has to be one-on-one. There's a lot of things, that will never come out of me. If you want to go out and tell the world, that's entirely up to you, but it's never going to come from me.
Yeah.
But then you get the other side of it, which is the spiritual side of it, where spirits come through and give messages and that type of thing. It is that thing of where, I don't know, I am private, because I think it is a private thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I first met you, if I'm being honest, thought, stunning bird, but she's got a toughness about her. You can see that without you opening your mouth. It's like you've got this invisible guard that's just like, back up.
When you were saying earlier about when I asked about men coming to see you, and you saying, they've got this macho thing where they have to, I thought you were describing me there. I was like, was I going to be a man?
Slightly like that. But I don't have an issue with that. I really, really don't have an issue with people like that, because it's always the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
But this thing of where it's like, it's so hard to explain when you're trying to deal with people's emotions, but the privacy of it is, if you're meant to know what I am, you will get to know who I am.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I need you to know me as Debbie if I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
I need you to make a judgment of Debbie not Debbie the medium,
Yeah.
not Debbie the clairvoyant. And people have that natural thing. You say I'm a clairvoyant, or they're just
like you're stuck with that tag and you can't do anything normal.
It's a label.
Like you don't have to go down Sainsbury's, you'll just like click your fingers and some ghost will deliver it to your door.
Literally. And I get the dickheads of the world that are going, go on then, tell me my fortune. Am I going to win the lottery? If I could tell you the lottery numbers, don't you think I would have it to myself or to one of my own? But that's classed as self-gain. We can't have anything for ourselves.
So there's certain limits on what you can and can't see. Like, can you, like, if, for instance, when I've gone to you and you've told me certain things, or I learned, it took me over the years, I learned that there's certain answers I couldn't get from you unless I asked the question. Because I remember you were trying to kind of find a way to go around it by asking me all these weird questions, which at the time I was like, what's she going on? You're like, well, have you never thought of this? And I'd be like, no. And then you'd try and go around another way. Have you thought of this? And I'm like, no. And you're probably thinking, this fucking girl, like, challenging. She needs to listen. But then I learned that there's only certain things, you can only tell us things if we ask for it. Like that, or if we approach that subject. Is that right? Am I?
Yeah, sort of. Like, we can't be seen to influence. If you've got a true gift, you cannot be seen to influence. You have to sit in the middle, and we are always shown the minimum is 2 paths, because it's not very often that it's just one path let out. You'll get the perception that it is, and I'm just going to wipe my nose because you can see I'm human and I don't want to be sitting here with dewdrops. You can see that there is 2 paths that are laid out for people, but you have free will.
Yeah.
And we can't be messing with free will. It doesn't work that way. And I could potentially say to you, Fiona, look, if you go left, and I would never say this to anyone, but if you go left, you'll get a yellow car. If you go right, you'll get a blue car. That's your free will to go, I want the blue or I want the left.
Yeah.
I can't go to you, oh, don't get the yellow. Oh, that's bad. I can see that crashing. It's like, no. You have free will.
You've got to let people choose their own.
So sometimes when we word things, it is not because I'm trying to manipulate. And I always say that comes if you come back again, because it's like I've proved the first time. Yeah. I don't feel the need to go, Fiona, like, do you think? Because the proof's done. Mm-hmm. And I work really hard. I literally work myself to the bone, and I don't put myself with any other medium, clairvoyant or whatever. They all do it their own way. But I feel so blessed being given this gift. I think, do you know what? I'm not cheating that. I'm not just going to give you half the detail. If somebody come through from the other side for you, not only do I want to give them a description of what they look like, I want to be able to see their personality. Yeah. I want to be able to see if they had a lisp and they couldn't say dog and they went boo, then I'm going to tell you that that's how they're saying it. But there is a lot of lazy ones out there that are just going, oh, your dog's here, or your mate's here, and that type of thing. And it's that thing of where, I'm not changing for anyone or anything.
That's what I liked about you, and I'm very aware that if I mention this name, she's probably going to come in. But I first went to see you about my friend who I'd lost, and that's when you were talking about her and talking about when you're describing my mum and dad as well. You were saying, like, I think it was my dad's mum, you were saying, like, with her accent, oh, it's like she's singing, like, with a Scottish accent. And then when you were saying the things that my mate Rachel was saying, I remember you saying, I've got no problem with language, but this girl uses this word, like the word that. And I'm not going to say on here because I'm free with the language, but that's just a little bit too far on this one.
You might say a dog's a run, but
it just made me burst out laughing, because I did think, I was like, oh, you're actually like getting who she, obviously you can see and hear her, but I was like, yeah, that's making me feel like she is here, and you can get like how she'd be saying things and what she'd be doing.
And the thing is, I mean, she's always been that. I love her dearly, and I think I met her once. I think she came to see me for a healing, and I didn't know there was a connection, because I don't say, oh, who do you know, or where'd you get my number? I don't do that. Yeah. And I just have this image of her. She turns up at my door with rollers in her hair. And I was just like, oh, maybe this ain't for the reading. Like, who turns up at the door sort of like running down my path, like for the want of a better way, pulling her knickers up and pulling her rollers out because she was going out afterwards. And she didn't have any face with just laying on my couch with rollers in her hair, and it was just like, oh, okay, I've never experienced this before, ever. And when she came through from the other side, I've got to be honest, she never showed herself to me at first.
Okay.
And clever, because she would have known that I would have known it was her because of that. And then she just literally popped in front of my eyes with a head full of curlers. And I thought, I know exactly who you are, and you're going to be a pain in the arse, I can see it. And she was, not word for word, obviously I'm not going to say because, you know, animal, run, that type of thing. But she was like, oh, you're going to earn your money with me. I am not making this fucking easy for you at all. And I was like, oh, you're going to be the pain in my side for years to come, like years to come. And she still does it now. When she comes through for one of you, she does change it up all the time. But I love that. I want to be able to tell you that she's gave me information that has never come out.
Yeah.
Because that's how it should be. I should be able to give you information. But that's hard work because you have to work with them to dig deeper and find out. And she had a lot of emotional things going on that no one ever saw.
Yeah.
And I think when I first met her, she turned up with these bloody rollers. I knew I'd made an impact on her, and for how big-headed that sounds, and I'm not a big-headed person, you could see her pulling back. Mm-hmm. You're getting way too close to that information that I never let out.
Yeah.
But I love my guide, and my guide has never steered me wrong. He will open things up for people, and especially if they're bad things or very emotional things. He opens them up, he pulls them all out into the air, and then he literally sits down and says, right, now we start building them back up again. And I never say it's me. I never say, you know, people say, oh my God, you're really good. And yeah, it's not me. It's my guide. And
yeah, explain like the guide things. A lot of people don't get what that...
A guide is, people have guardian angels, okay, and generally as a rule that they're normally family members, that type of thing. You can get randoms, that kind of thing. But a working guide, he's the one that I always call him the middleman between you and the spirit world, between me and the spirit world. He also is a git. I'm not even sure how.
Good old T-dog. Don't come for me for saying that.
Yeah, you're
I'm sorry.
In a minute. But he's a Cherokee Indian. He's centuries old. I don't want to say it because he will get big-headed, but he's extremely good looking. Like, literally, I remember the first time I ever met him, I was like, wow. Like, I'm never going to be able to work if this man comes in the room with me. He's got an amazing personality. Like, amazing. I obviously can't give names away or anything like that, but there was one person in particular that has come to see me who's on the telly, and I'm just trying to think how to word that now, because if I say it, it doesn't matter because they won't know who it is. But he was a bit like whatever, and I knew instantly where that person was from, just for that one line. And it was just like, oh my God, like, he's got a personality. He knows how to tune in to me being normal.
Yeah.
What things that, I mean, I don't watch them type of programs as a rule, but it was quite a well-known sort of like saying, and you knew where it came from.
Yeah.
But honestly, he reprimands me. My husband will tell you that he hears us arguing. If there's something I disagree with him, it's just like, he just winds me up.
Are they the arguments that you don't win?
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, there's a thing that you can call trance. So you have a medium and we're used as a vessel. So someone can come in, they don't come inside of you or anything like that, but they overshadow you. You will take on their voice. You potentially could take on their
I've seen this before, yeah.
And I can do it, but I choose not to do it. And I remember when I was in my training in development, I was like, I'm not doing that to my mentor. And he went, but you have to do that. And I'm like, yeah, it ain't happening. I'm not doing it. And he said, okay, just sit there. And I was like, Tonka, don't let this come near me. I don't want to have that feeling of someone overshadowing me, or I have to be in control of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting in this chair in this circle, and I was like, Tonka, don't leave my side. Don't, like, no one can hear me talk to him. It's me and him unless we're having a row and everyone knows about it. But I remember saying, like, just you stand in front of me. Don't let anything cut, like, for how much I trusted my mentor, I didn't fully trust that he wouldn't allow that to come and sit over me. And I remember sitting in this chair, and then all of a sudden I couldn't move. Like, literally, I was, you know, when you're trying to sit yourself up,
like sleep paralysis kind of thing.
Very
like
much.
You're
aware
but
you can't move.
Yeah.
Like I was solid. And then literally I saw, because I'm clairvoyant, I saw this spirit coming towards me, and I was like, Tonka, like, no, stop him. Don't let him near. There was a few fucks thrown. I've got to tell you, I wasn't that calm. And I remember, because it was in a circle, my mentor was basically sitting opposite me, and there was other people that was doing the development class. And I remember trying to push myself off of this chair. And Tonka just sort of stood back. And I don't know if it was him that had blocked it, or if I used every ounce of energy to push myself out of this chair. But before I knew it, I'd flew across the room. And I don't mean as in wings. It was the force of me trying to push against it, that when they did let go, I was gone. And I literally landed in front of my mentor on my hands and knees like a real dick. I was embarrassed. I was very angry. And I blamed Tonka.
Was that like a lesson to stop you from trying to stop it?
No.
No.
The lesson was, and he explained it, in between all the fucks that I was throwing at him, he explained it that if he didn't allow me to feel what that was like when a negative energy or a normal energy was coming to overshadow me, how would I ever learn to block it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that weren't working for me at all. Like, I weren't having it. I really lost the plot. And I think it was probably about 3 weeks that every time someone could come into the room, he'd come around me, I just ignored him.
You got the silent treatment.
Like, big time. If I'm coming at you with my gob, because I'm very gobby,
no.
Like, no. I know, it's such a surprise, Fiona. But you know that you basically got half a chance with me. If I go silent on you,
you're in trouble.
You, like, literally, there's no coming back. I will lose the plot. And it was my husband. It was like, you can't. He was panicking because me and him weren't talking to each other. And he was like, don't be like that to him. And it was just like, fuck off. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and I really did. I was getting angry with him because it felt like he was taking his side. But Tonka's always explained to me that it has to be 50% of them and 50% of me. And you put them two together, it makes 100. When the arguments are going on, I don't give a toss. I don't care who you are, how you help me, how you protect me. It ain't happening. And my husband was panicking. Like, literally, I don't know what he thought. There was going to be a thunderbolt come through the bloody roof. I don't know. But it was that thing of, like, don't get involved with us. Why are you involved with us? And then I've got Tonka shouting at me, don't talk to him like that. Why would you take that out on him? And it was just like, it was like a bloody affair going on. You had my husband there and everyone just fuck off. Literally. But when you do what we do, people, I often get it, Fiona, oh my God, I'd love to be able to do what you do. And yeah, you only see one side of it. You don't see the negative side of what we suffer. You don't, when I have someone, you know, that has taken their own life or has been murdered or has been abused, and the abuser and the abused is in the same room, because I've got one on one side and one on the other, it affects me. I can't allow you to see that because I won't be able to work, but it affects me. And you know yourself from experience, I will feel what they've gone through.
Yeah.
I feel the pain, not only the emotional pain, but the physical pain of how that happens. I've had myself being thrown in front of a train because the person that come through, that's how they died, or that they've been shot, or they've been shooting up, and like it feels like my body is going with them because they stand next to me and allow me to feel how they are. It's not nice, and I'm grey, as you can see, and I would say it's the dead that has turned me grey, and your bloody friends. But it is that thing of where that, even though it looks like the best thing in the world, not always.
Yeah, it's 24/7 for you. Is there a way that you can switch off?
Yeah, and that happens in development. They teach you how. Because you would be walking down the road and you would, for me, I can't answer for everyone, but for me, I would see the human walking, but I would see who was walking by their side as well. And in the spirit world, it's supposed to be 80% of their time is over there, and they get the 20% over here. So things like readings and, you know, that type of thing. But you get other ones that get trapped and they're wandering. And if you don't learn to switch that off, they're at you all the time.
So how are they trapped? Are they people that can't, do they say like unfinished business, or they?
Yeah, it can be that. It can also be there's a fear factor
of going to wherever they're going to go to. Yeah.
You have I always say you can't explain in layman's terms. They say heaven. We just say, me personally, I say the higher world, the spirit world. You don't have golden gates. You don't have all the harps playing and violins. It's not like that. And humans don't carry themselves in the spirit world like I would see you. Only when they come back and they're working with a medium or clairvoyant, then you'll be able to say, she's got jeans on, she's got beautiful eyes, long dark hair, that type of thing.
And so they do that so that we can recognise and connect with them. Because if they were to come as like a light or something, then you probably wouldn't.
Well, how would I explain a light? Yeah. I've got a friend here, very bright. you couldn't. She would be a firework light if I'm being honest. Like, pooh, pooh. But you can't explain a light. You know, I potentially could work with them to get their personality, but you wouldn't be able to recognise them via a light. Yeah. But in the spirit world, it's light energy. It's not in human form. What we have here is a vessel. Mm-hmm. It is literally a vessel, which is then, you know, when we talk about being kind, and, you know, I've seen some of your bits where it's like people are very critical or judgmental, especially female to female, that type of thing. And I think, do you know what, honestly, if you can see ours in the spirit world, it doesn't matter what you look like, because you're all this light form on the other side. Yeah. It's that I'm not very good with religion. I don't tend to talk, I don't generally talk about religion, because I think that that's a bit of a man-made thing, which is going to cause controversy, I'm sure. But it's my belief. It's what I believe. I don't force what I am onto you or anyone else. So when you get somebody that is a bit like, that's bollocks, what do you mean it's a lie? And well, do you know what, at the end of the day, that is how it's been shown to me. Yeah. And I'd be the first one to go, that's bollocks. And I used to test Tonka all the time at the beginning. And it was that thing of, I remember once he said to me, Fee, I was like, I can't see it. So how do I know it's there? And he came back at me with just as much sarcasm as, you can't see the wind, but you know it's there. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
It's kind of getting your head around as well, the fact that there's other things out there that aren't like straight in front of you. Like, there's things that are like our brain can't even comprehend, but humans tend to think that we know everything.
Yeah, and do you know what? They're all in a box, and all this type of thing is outside of the box. Yeah. And then when you've got somebody like me that's trying to explain it, and I probably am really not explaining it the best way, but it is that thing of where unfortunately there is so many different colours, so many different breeds, so many different faiths, so many different beliefs, so many different ways that people look at things. We could look at your dog, there's 3 of us in the room now, but we could all see him in a different way. Yeah. You know, you could have, he's so not this, but you could have someone that has a fear of a dog that would look at him and go, oh, that looks like a scary dog, like that, literally.
Yeah.
Where you'd be going, that's my baby. Like, he's the most gentlest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then you might get someone else go, it's a dog. Why are you treating it like
They're
a
not bothered
child?
about
Like, that is a dog. That's it. It's a very similar type of way when you look at the spirit world. People all look at it in different ways. And that generally comes from what they believe, what they're taught, but I had to learn the normal way of human way. But then I've got spirit in my ear 24/7. And honestly, they can be the funniest ones in there. If they were funny when they was alive, they're funny when they're dead. If they were sarcastic when they was alive, they're really sarcastic when they're dead. And it's just like a certain person that we keep talking about is the biggest wind up going. And she will go out of her way just to piss me off.
Yeah.
Because she won't make it easy. And it doesn't matter how long we've had that contact with her. If she don't want to do something, she won't do it. If I said to her, you know, what's your shoe size? She'd probably go, what size is yours? She wouldn't tell me what
Exactly
size.
she was like when she was here.
And they
Exactly
don't
like-
change. They do not change. But trying to explain to someone about this world and that world, you have to come out of the box.
Yeah.
And it's hard for humans to come out of the box because there's fear. There is non-understanding. There is people that, like yourself, thought it was bollocks,
Yeah.
but have to be proved to. And I don't feel the need to go out in the world and prove it, but the proof will be given.
Yeah, I really like as well with you is just the way how you're so straightforward. Like people can see how you're talking now. You're just so straightforward and so black and white, and you're not bothered about turning around. I don't know if you do it to everyone, but you weren't bothered about turning around and telling me I was being a prick. Like
No, that is me.
You would just say it how it was, and for me that works. Because if I've got someone who's pussyfooting around me or doesn't really want to offend, I'll just go and do what I want to do anyway. I mean, you've told me certain things like this. It'd be better if you went about things this way, and I've still gone and done what I want to do anyway.
But you know what? That proves
it's
you're listening to your free will.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone's telling you maybe that's not the right way to do it. Maybe try that way. But your free will make you do it the way you need to.
Yeah, yeah.
And who am I to try and change you? I'm no one, because I wouldn't tolerate you changing me. So nobody's got any right to tell anybody to do anything or what to believe in or what not to believe in. But if you do get somebody that is going through all the things that you said, don't tell me nothing, because I will tell you to shut up. Don't give me any indicators. And if I remember rightly, it was a long while ago, and obviously I've seen a lot of people in between, but I remember you not staring me down, but like icicles coming out of your eyes, as if no words, but fucking go on then. Prove it, bitch. Prove it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like that, because then I find that that's more challenging. Not because I need to, but actually because I want to.
Yeah.
And I want to know that you know that person I'm telling you is standing next to you is standing next to you.
Yeah.
But it's not because I'm just saying they're standing there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was very young. She was very, very young. And yes, young people pass through taking it or giving it. Something else that I need to point out, especially when it does come to your friend. People do have a bit of a preconception about people taking their own lives. And there's a lot of different emotions when somebody's done that. And I still have to be neutral to you, but I have to take in consideration of you. I need to be neutral to them, but still have them in consideration, because I need them to work with me to be able to give the messages to you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can sometimes be, that was a selfish thing that they done. And I'm like, nah, that has got to be one of the hardest things to do in the world.
Yeah.
But it shows the pain that you was in to do that. And for me, that is something that I will try to really embrace, because that is where their main energy is coming from. It can be that it's a mental health issue. It can be that, you know, there's devastation that has gone on in their life. It can be a learned behaviour that has put them in that situation. But to say that was weak for somebody to take their own life, literally, I'm coming at you as Debbie. And I will take it off your face, like literally. But Debbie, the medium, has to sit in balance.
Yeah.
Has to be neutral. I can't have that thing of judgment. But who am I to judge? I don't tolerate people judging me, like I said. So, you know, everyone is their own. But the bit that I need to explain is that, for the want of a layman's way of saying it, the day you're created is the day that you're given your birth date and the day that you're given your death date. And it can't change. Doesn't matter what you do. If that weren't her day to go, someone would have walked in. Something would have broke.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
I remember that was a big thing when I started, because I started seeing you, like, because of her. We're kind of just getting over all of that. You've seen me for all different ups and downs now.
It's
You're like,
like,
oh God, she's ringing again. I think I'm surprised now if I ring. I'm just like, no, just so you know, you are.
yeah,
Like, oh.
oh, what's that about?
But one of the big things that I had was like guilt, like so much guilt. And I was like, oh, if I'd have, because I was away when it happened, and I had this phone call and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I'd have been there, I could have stopped it, because it happened at the times. And that was something that you really had to like instill in me. And I remember you telling me that exact process. You were like, it could have, if it wasn't that, it would have been hit by a bus or
Exactly.
fell in a lake or whatever. It would have been.
You can't change it. I had it was a daughter that has come to see me, and her mum had passed over. And in the process of going through the reading, it had come out that she had tried 12 times to take her own life. And I need to be careful because I really want to tell you the story, but it's such a bizarre story that actually I don't want to put anybody in a position that may watch this that they know that that's about their mum or their sister. But the weirdest thing was that she tried to take her own life, changed her mind, and then something freakily happened that ended up she did die.
Okay.
I'm going to use the example that you said about hitting by a bus, right? So it's like she tries to jump out the window, changed her minds, come outside to calm down, have a fag, and the bus hit her. It's because that 5 minutes before, that weren't her death date. It was the 5 minutes after that it was.
Yeah.
But this never happened. That it was like the most random thing, as in the bus got overturned and it swung and somebody ran out in front of it and then the bus hit her.
A complete freak accident.
Complete. Where 5 minutes before she was ready to jump out the window. Do you get what I mean? Because 5 minutes before it wasn't meant to be.
It was on that moment.
And
that's
it
when
is
you're
to the
going.
second.
Yeah.
It is to the second. And you can't change it. I mean, I've got a lot of loved ones, you know, brothers and that are on the other side, where I've seen their spirit come out of their body. It's horrific. There was once I actually asked that sight to be taken away from me, because all I wanted to do was pull them back in. That was my loved one, that was my pain, that was me losing them. But there's nothing in this world that can stop that from happening. They say, the saying is, the two things you can't change in life is death and taxes. You can't change them. There's always going to be death and taxes, always. But people have this, I'm sure you've heard it, where people go, oh my God, I'm living on borrowed time. That bus nearly hit me and I'm now living on... No, fuck off. You're not living on... I do get a bit wild. I will tell you, that's when Debbie comes out. It's like, you knobhead. If you was meant to have died by the bus, you would have done. But actually, it does connect with suicide as well. Because someone would have walked in. Someone would have talked her down. So there would have been a reason why it didn't happen on that day.
Yeah.
But it's hard explaining that to someone when they come to see you and you're telling their loved ones there. But I try to show both sides of that. Their side, as well as showing the spirit how that's left them. They know that. They know the pain that they've caused. And, you know, we've had... I was going to say we've had stories from certain people, but I don't think we ever have. She will get emotional, as in to a certain degree, because she goes very quiet when she's emotional, rather than go, I'm sorry, or you just don't really get that. But like I said, if that weren't her day to go, she won't. So you're carrying all this guilt that you've got no need to carry.
Yeah. I think as well, something I figured out was obviously everyone goes through the grieving process, and you can't ever predict that, because you can be so up and down, and 1 minute you can be sad, 1 minute you can be angry, and it just keeps on going. But one thing that I learnt from going and like seeing you and chatting to you and was that I was kind of more grieving for myself, and that sounds really selfish saying that, but I was more grieving for myself. It was like, she's actually in a better place, and it's somewhere where we're all going to go, but I'm just missing that person being there and me being able to ring them up, and I was run about and do. You look so proud right now of this epiphany.
Beyond,
finally.
Beyond proud.
But it's hard if someone was to say that to you when you're in the early stages of grieving. Like, I'd have taken someone's throat out for saying that to me. I'd be like,
oh, you had a black eye, and because I wear glasses, a bit of glass stuck in it as well, because you would have come at me. Yeah. Like, literally. Yeah. But again, I think that is part of the healing process. And I don't put myself up with anyone. When it comes to Tonka, I put him right up as far as they can go, because he's the one that's telling me how to word things with you, how to not pacify you, that's not what he does, but makes you see actually that there is two sides to a story. Yeah. But when you're in that grieving process, it's here, it's like literally like a cloth wrapped around your head, and it's hard work, because I'm never going to be cuddling you, but all I potentially want to do is put my arms around you and embrace you and tell you it's going to be okay. But the way that you was then, you naturally would have gone, fuck off. Like, what are you doing? Get off of me. Like, you're wrong. You would have come gunning at me. I'm not even joking. And if we stood up, you would see it's like that. I am very short, and she's not overly tall, but a lot taller than me. So she probably could have you couldn't have knocked me into next week. You could have tried. But it would have been that thing of where I wouldn't have put you in that position. Yeah. Because you have to deal with your emotions. But actually, there is a process to it. And I can't go like that and you're magically feeling better. And there's no time frame. Yeah. There's no time. It might be 2 years for you. It might be 2 weeks for somebody else. There's no time frame. But again, human beings put us in this box. You should be putting yourself together by now. It's been a year. Mm-hmm. Why? Yeah. It's done psychological damage to you, not just to your mind, but to your heart. Yeah. And when it comes to human beings with their heart, that's a hard call for anyone. Yeah. There's no time limit on it. No one can say, you should be feeling better now. She's in a better place.
And half the time, I think that actually makes you worse, because you put these time limits on yourself, or I should be this way, I should be doing this, or what I do is try and distract myself all the time. So I'm like, how many times has Debs told you off for that? Because I'm distracting myself with this, that, the other, it means that doesn't exist, when really it does, and like it's all just trapped inside of you, and it's all going to cut, because you do Reiki as well, and I used to see you for the Reiki, and oh my god, the amount of times it was always here. The amount of times that I felt like you had a fire, like I could literally feel the burning, and you were like...
There's times that the thing is, I don't touch, I just go above, and it's quite a strange feeling, especially if the person's feeling it, because I feel it all the time. Yeah. I can feel the heat coming out of my hands. But when you're saying to me, oh, okay, like pull back a little bit, and
I remember one time like I had an underwire bra, and I could feel like the wire in my bra starting to burn me. I was like,
yeah, I've scolded you for life. But it is that thing of where like you're gonna get people that listen or watch this that go, shut up. Yeah. But that was me. I was gonna say, I'm hoping by them not necessarily knowing you, but actually watching you and seeing the type of person you are, that you say it as it is, that if you thought I was a fraud or a freak, even though you do think I'm a freak, but that's choose your words. So I need to choose them very, very, very wisely. But that thing of where you thought there was anything, the slightest smidgen of it was bullshit, you're going to call me out on it. Yeah, yeah. I remember, I was talking to someone this morning, and I was just like, I don't do nerves. There's certain things that I do get a little bit, and my husband's very quick at noticing it because I cover it. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit like you. I just cover it. No one will know. But I might be like my legs going or something like that, and I'm unaware of doing it. But that's humans. Humans cover. humans don't like anybody to see what's going on in there.
Yeah.
With something like healing, that you don't have a choice. Like, do you know, I've got a story. Surprise, surprise. I went to see this a bloke that I know. His mum had a problem with her shoulder, and she was an older lady. She's lovely, very straight laced. Like, she would, like, black was black. That was it. And he said to me, Deb, will you go and do some healing on my mum's shoulder? And I was like, let's just put it out there. It's not going to cure it. It just alleviates what's going on. Emotions a bit different. You know, we can sort of like untwist a little bit of that. Yeah. But pain-wise, we can just alleviate it. And I remember being in her kitchen. Her husband was sitting at the table. Her son, who had asked me to do it, wasn't there. And started doing healing. And I was like, is it all right? You okay? Yeah, fine. And she was a Londoner. She went, oh, what, love? Just get on with it. I thought, fucking hell. Not doing nothing in this, like doing nothing. I can feel it, but it's doing nothing. And then her son came in. He was like, all right, babe, yeah, how's it going? Yeah, all right, mum, yeah. And then he said, everything all right? And she was like, it's all right. I ain't done much. I thought, just get me out. Just get me out of here. Anyway, I went out and he came out. I got in the car and I was like, look, I've done what I can do. So anyway, it must have been, I don't know, an hour later, I think he rang me. And he was like, oh, I've got to tell you. And I was like, look, if she thought I was a weirdo, that's fine. But, like, I just hope that it helped even. Oh, no. He's going, she's shouting out, George, get in here. So when he went, he's going, what's the matter, mum? He went, she have DP on her hands. He's like, enough got hot. She thought I'd put DP on my hands. And he went, don't you think you would have smelt DP, mum?
Yeah,
like
that strong smell.
That is very overpowering. But that was a psychological breakdown of it. She didn't believe it. But I must have put some form of deep heat on my hands to make her skin feel so warm. And he went, did she touch you? And she went, no. Like, I didn't feel nothing. Like her fingers on my
over, yeah.
I don't touch, I hover over. And she was like, there's got to have been something in her hands. Like, he was like, oh, mum, like, seriously, just deal with it.
Like, you've come along like a magician. Like
literally, I had, like, firebolts coming out of my fingers. But it's just that thing of, again, I accepted that was how she dealt with it. And she didn't need to say that, yeah, I can feel it, as long as she benefited from it.
Yeah.
And that's the same with you, with your emotions. You don't need to go to bed, oh, I feel bad. Like, no. As long as you go home and it's mainly to feel calmer, more relaxed, and to allow your brain to focus on...
Yeah. Yeah, and you do feel it. You do. I think I've come leaps and bounds from when I first saw you. From going. Go on, give me a compliment. You nearly choked then.
I did. I just put it back in there. Yeah, I am very proud of you.
From thinking that it's all bullshit and having this big shield up that I just have done from being a kid, really. So I didn't really know no different. To now. If you could see my house, I've got crystals all around my house. I do Reiki on myself. I pull cards in the morning. I'm doing a podcast and the first person I've asked to come on is you. But I think it is important because you do put people into boxes. Like I would, if I'd have said to me years ago, you're going to be doing this, I'd be like, no, what a load of bullshit. Like this is a joke.
Do you know what though?
But even you don't have to be airy fairy to be into to be into this, or to even just like believe. Just a little part of it. Like that's what I kind of want people to see. You can be normal. You can still go out and live a normal life and do stupid things that we do, and be able to have this side to your life. Yeah.
I went to interrupt you, but I think it took you a long time, even working with me.
Yeah.
For you to start believing in you.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've always tried to teach you. There is people, Fee, that if I let them, they would be ringing me every other week. But that's not what it's about. And just lately I've been dealing, I don't think I've even told you actually, I've been working with some young girls that was in, they was part of an abuse ring. and they was groomed. And emotions where I literally get off the phone and I physically feel sick. Not because of what they're telling me, not because of what I'm feeling, but there's so much negative energy. And they've lost their self-belief, they've lost their self-worth. And not because you was in that same thing, but you had that exact same thing.
Yeah.
You didn't have that self-belief, you didn't have that self-worth or that self-love. The outside Fiona, yeah, like honestly, she would go, I love this more than anything. Fucking come on, Avya. That's how you came across. Not necessarily in them work. Well, yeah, there was words like that, but you had this persona about you that nothing could touch you.
Yeah. Nothing
was going to hurt you. But because I can see the inside of you, I can see the little Fee. Honestly, that was broken.
Yeah.
And not just because of you, mate. That there was things that have gone on.
All different factors throughout. Yeah.
Big time.
And that's what I learned as well. That a lot of it is like, and this will probably come out the wrong way as well. But it is like it all boils down to you. Like everything that you make your reality is all in you. Yeah. Like external things can like have their impact and whatever. But you were in control of so much more than what you realise. Like it all starts within. Like I started doing a lot of like I got really into ayahuasca and stuff like that. I've done like loads of them ceremonies, and even the first few of them, I went to Costa Rica and I did 4 ceremonies out there, and I'm watching these people like flailing around the floor, seeing all these things, coming out with all these stories, and I'm sat there thinking, what? Like I wasn't getting anything. I went up to the shaman and I was like, give me more, and she looked at me and she's like, what? She's like, how much do you want? And I went like that, and I went, fuck me up. Okay, so guys, I filmed the podcast with Debbie. It was a few weeks ago actually, and technical difficulties. My phone ran out of memory and it chopped us off halfway through a conversation. So I've got Debs back now, weeks later, to just do a little closing bit. But I was just saying to you a minute ago, actually, I don't believe in coincidence. I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I was watching this podcast back the other night, and I hadn't watched it before. I was watching it back, and the last part of the conversation that you were talking about is you were talking about how you're working with these girls at the minute who have been part of like a grooming ring, and you're helping them like basically get over all of like the mental issues and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you turn around and say to me, and I was watching myself do this, was actually like, I was sat there and I actually said, Fee, you dickhead, like to myself as I was watching this. You turn around and you say, not that that's what you've gone through, Fee, but take away like losing your friend, like there's other things that went on in your life that you had that level or lack of level of self-worth, and you were that broken when you first came to see me. Yeah. And I watched watched my like little brain go and me panic, and I literally like hop, skip, jump like onto the next subject.
The normal Fee way,
right? Because I don't know if anyone will pick up on it when they watch the podcast. Maybe like now I've said this bit, go back and like rewind to that bit. But I can see myself. It's just a split second, but I can see the moment where my brain goes, "Oh fuck!" Like, how do I like get over this? And it's just reminded me that that's the whole reason why I'm like doing this whole podcast, is to like embrace everything that you've gone through. Like I was in a position when I first came to see you, where I'd been put in different situations, I'd been around different people, different things had happened from like years down the line, all leading up to that point, which had affected me and how I saw myself and also how I saw the world. So I did have zero self-worth. I had no self-love, and because of that, it was reflected in all the other experiences that like life was bringing to me. And that's why I wanted you to be the first person on my podcast, because you were like the first step for me to really, and you were a massive important part of my life from then and all the years leading up, to help kind of unravel all of that shit, like unravel the energy, unravel just like all of like the heavy weight that I'd sort of carried about with myself, like losing my friend when she committed suicide. I think that was like a catalyst for me to start my own self-work, because I hadn't told anyone like
these demons of mine. Apart from her, she knew everything about me and I knew everything about her. And when she went, everything sort of fell apart for me, and I felt like I'd lost that one little safety. Like I was back on my own again, I felt like, and it was a horrible, horrible feeling. And that's the whole feeling that I want to take away from other people having to go through. But it was also that point that I had to start doing my own work, because it was like, well, you can't like lean on your mate because you've told your mate. You can't lean on whoever it is that you've told. Like, you've got to start doing the work yourself. And that's where it all started. At that point back then, I didn't realise that, because my life was just falling to shit around me, and you're too deep in it. But I just wanted to prove to people that you, like, I've got self-love for myself now. Yeah, I've got insecurities, everyone does, but from where I was all the way back then to now, it's a completely different person. And I can see how life's changed around me, people that come around me, opportunities that come my way. It's all completely different. And this is another thing as well. I'm blabbering on about this whole lack of coincidence thing. I have these affirmations that come up on my phone every day.
Yeah.
And this one, and I think it just sums it up properly. It came up this morning, just as I was like thinking about, oh, it's weird how the podcast cut off where it did. And it says, the beautiful thing about my past is that it's behind me and I can observe it and learn from it. My past is filled with lessons that continue to help me today.
Perfect.
How fitting is that?
Completely.
So that's why
it is that thing of where there's a couple of things I always say to people, especially if we are working where, you know, I deal with a lot of people's emotions that I work with.
Yeah.
This bit that sits, obviously you can't see because where I am, but this bit here that sits in your stomach here is called your central chakra. Yeah. And that is basically where you hold all your emotions, all your anger, your pain, your love. It all comes from that central point there.
This is where, when you were talking about the Reiki, when we did the podcast, and I was saying it would burn in the bottom of my bra, because that's where it would burn the whole time. That's every time you did it on me, I was on fire there.
And that is where you hold all of this emotion, all this negativity, all this strain and pain, and everything else that you experience emotionally in life is held in there. So if you imagine for you, I mean, there's billions of people that have it, but it's like a ball of string, and this is all happening and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And you made the reference of carrying all your own crap. Well, that's what we do. As in, it's, excuse me, instead of having like a Santa sack where he's chucking all these toys in the back of the sack, you're doing that with your emotions and you're keeping it all in there. Yeah. So when we work with people, you know, it doesn't just have to be the one-on-one with healing. It can be that it's done over a phone, over Zoom, whatever. And it is literally learning to go like that with all of your strings. But ironically, the world says, listen to your gut instinct. Well, this bit here is your gut.
Yeah.
That's your stomach. And we all call it gut. And it does come from a gut instinct. So the minute that you do that and you start tuning in, excuse me, it is where you've got to look into you. And you was at that point where you didn't have her next to you, because you was then spreading it to the side by going to her. Fiona, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to cough. Excuse me, I've got the cold, and you can tell that I'm a talker, but when I talk too much, I start coughing. So apologies. But I am a true believer in balance. Everything in life is balance. You have to have the bad in life because you won't appreciate the good.
100%.
So when you're listening to that affirmation that you're doing, you're putting balance back in, because there's going to be negativity that surrounds. And it doesn't have to be as painful as losing a friend or, you know, someone going through something through illness. It can just be people walking in the street. You pick up vibes from people, and people have this tendency, which is where we get things like trolls and things like that. They just literally want to dump their negativity on everybody else. Yeah. So now you've learned that people may years ago have seen you as this tough chick, like really tough, but actually it's because they're not seeing the inside of you.
Yeah.
They're only seeing what you're allowing people to see.
Yeah, it's just 10% of me, and then the rest it's all like hidden.
But you're keeping that hidden, you're keeping that suppressed. So going through the things that we've been doing over the years, you're just learning to undo that ball of wool of emotion.
Yeah.
And you are literally, it's like all of a sudden now you're going to feel you're in control of them knitting needles, and you can knit yourself a jumper if you want to,
Yeah.
because it's one long string. But honestly, I'm so proud of the person that you've become now, because I think this is real Fiona.
Yeah. Do you know what? I feel so empowered as well. And I feel like the things that I used to find so scary and see as a weakness, like talking about hard times or just any of that traumas, anything that's like got me down or knocked me down or trying to build yourself back up, that was always such a massive scary thing for me to even admit that I'd had to do. Whereas once I'd actually started doing it, like talking about it, I've never felt more empowered in my whole life. It's actually had the complete opposite effect. It does make you think, why did I not do that all that time ago? But I know I like to try every other avenue possible until I do the one that I should do. But it's just interesting looking back on yourself however many years ago and then seeing how far I've come, because it's not until you can look at a time span that you're like, shit, I've actually done a lot of work. It makes me excited for how I'm going to be in a few more years time. Yeah, and that was the whole reason why I wanted to do the real shit wins thing, because I know that there's so many different people out there who've got different views on me. They'll know me as like whatever fee they've met in whatever situation, but there's not a lot of people who will actually know like the depth. And I just want to show people that they can, like, you got to do the work, and it's hard. It's not like a bed of roses. Like, there'll be times where you're like, you're angry and like you don't want to be doing it, but so worth going through and doing that and sitting and being in that place where you feel like you can't talk or open up about anything. It's like such a lonely, dark, horrible place to be, and I put myself there for years and years and years and years and years because that's all
it was comfortable. That's where you found your comfort zone. And do you know what I'm a believer in as well, that actually anything that's worth having, you got to work hard for it. And if you don't, you're never going to gain all the benefits from it. So actually there maybe is a thing as well where actually the path that you was on, you had to go through certain different scenarios to be able to apply it now in your new path, where if you had learnt it years ago, things like this you may not have even been doing. So now when you look at it, you have to see it as the whole picture, as the bigger picture. And it's the bigger picture that will actually, then you'll look back and go, do you know what? I can say an experience on that because I went through that myself. Or I can say this because I've gone through a trauma like that. And that's all going to be beneficial, yes, for you, but for everybody else that you come into contact with.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. That's why I wanted you to be number one on the podcast, because I truly believe you were like number one on my step of getting there. I mean, sometimes you booted me up them steps, but you got me there, and it was important. It was like you were really important for me, and like just the way that you are as well with explaining things and like the wording that you use. Like I was able to connect with you, and
because I'm common.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? Actually, we're laughing about that, but actually, I think there's a bit of a serious note with that as well, because some people I talk to literally from one range right up to the other, and excuse me, there's some people that actually I feel a little bit uncomfortable with because I'm so common. And the first thing I say to people, look, you're going to have to take this on the chin the way I am, because I'm not going to change. What you see, what you get. And the most of my work now is done on the phone, so you're not even seeing me. So people, I can imagine, have this little manifestation going on in their heads of like this little tiny pixie woman that's really gobby. But actually, when you really get to know me, is that it is true. What you see is what you get. And I won't change for anybody, but in the world, people automatically try to change to fit in with people, or try to act a certain way to get in with that gang or that crowd or that work group or whatever it is.
And that'll never work out for you. That'll always backfire.
And if you are to that position where you go, do you know what? It is what it is. I am what I am. And if you can't accept me, that's fine, but I accept myself. And if you accept yourself, people naturally will accept you. Mm-hmm. So you've done amazing from when I first ever met you until this day. amazing. You have blown my mind, because it's a way of me looking back and saying, do you know what, actually, yeah, I can put up the crap of people going, go on, Lynn, tell me what the lottery numbers are, and crap like that. Like, honestly, like expecting a little leprechaun to like jump out, like that is never going to happen. But I look back at you and I think, do you know what, all the hard work that I do, I can now see and maybe take a smidgen of credit, because the majority of the credit is you. You've had to apply that. We've just gave you a little key to open the door. That is all it is with us.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Debs. I'll go so far as to say I love you just for the podcast, because I know that you beg me on the phone to give you any form of affection.
Every time we speak, we go to say bye, and I'm like, Fiona, you, and I literally get it spat, like literally, I can feel you burning up. That one last week, because that sounded very genuine.
Well, there you go. I got it out quickly.
I don't mind quick. I go all speed to me. Good, bad, different. That's me.
Was there any last words or bits of advice or anything that you want to say before we close off?
I think if I had to give advice, as in Debbie, because Debbie the medium and Debbie just as Debs is two different things. But Debbie the medium would be, do you know what? There is things that is going to happen in your life, and unfortunately, you've got to take it on the chin. Mm-hmm. You're born with your death date, and you're born with the day you're going to be born. That came out a little bit wrong. When you're born with a birth date and you're born with a death date. And you can't change that. All you can change is the bits that happen in the middle, and accept there is certain paths that you will have to go through to get to the path where you need to be. And you're a living example of that. Always have balance in your life. That is extremely important. Every time a negative happens, it's not always going to be easy to do it, but every time a negative happens, search for a positive. Even if it's the most tiniest thing of, do you know what? I'm being able to have a glass of water.
Yeah.
I might be thirsty, but actually I can go to the tap and I can literally pour myself a glass of water. It can be as small as that to the biggest things in the world. And do you know what? Believe. And I'm not talking about what I do, because you're going to have a lot of people that believe and disbelieve, and I don't have an issue with that. But I think I've always had a saying of the proof is in the pudding. Mm-hmm. And I think proof is in the pudding because it benefits you. Don't benefit me, don't benefit anybody else in life. You have to look after you before you can even attempt to think about looking after anybody else. And do you know what? The universe, there is things like karma. So even that in itself is good and bad. So the universe will help, but the universe can take away as well.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks, Debs. You're a star.
And so well.
Yeah, if anyone who's watching this wants to reach out to me and ask any questions, or did you say you're all right with me putting people in touch with you?
By all means. I'm a believer in if they're meant to get in touch, they will do. If they don't, never meant to have a path crossed.
Yeah. So there we go. First episode of Real Shit Wins. Yes.
We've done it. Well done, you. Well done.